Hi guys, it's Derek from PGSC here, and I'm going to bring to you today my Phantom Knight deck profile. Phantom Knights have been one of my sort of favorite decks or archetypes that have come out, and now they got the new support from Phantom Rage. I thought it'd be a good time to just let you see what I've been working with. Hi guys, so before we get into the deck profile, I thought we'd just go through Brad suggested that we should probably just go through the support that was received from Phantom Rage and sort of explain whether I'm playing it or not. So let's start off with the first line. So we have the Phantom Knight of Torn Scales, Raider's Wing, and the Phantom Knight of Stained Greaves. So Torn Scale is definitely being played in the deck because, well, he is that good. He's a dark ref. He's sort of like dark refer for the deck. You can discard a card to send any Phantom Knight card from your deck to your graveyard, which is very great. You have so many options unlocked with that. And also, if it's in your graveyard when a PK card is banished, you can then special summon from your graveyard, but it's banished when it leaves field. It's an extender and a starter, so you definitely have to play it in the deck. We'll go with the actual the Phantom Knight of Stained Greaves. So Stained Greaves is an extender. If a Phantom Knight monster is special summoned to your field, you can special summon it, and you can increase its level by 1 if you want to.
So summon it from hand.
From hand, sorry. And if it's in your graveyard, you can banish it to special summon a Phantom Knight monster from your hand, and you can increase the level by 1 if you'd want. He is played as well because he is a nice sort of extender, a bit more of an additional extender because its condition is a bit harder to me than say the Phantom Knights of Silent Boots, which we'll get into later on. But you still definitely want to play him. Raider's Wing is interesting. It's treated as a Phantom Knights card and a Raid Raptors card. And if it's in your hand or graveyard, you can detach a material from Dark Seas monster you control and special summon it. And then its other sort of effect is that if it's Xyz material for a Dark Xyz monster, that Xyz monster can't be targeted by your opponent's card effects. It's a really cool card, and I was initially playing it, but I found that with PKs it was very rare that I was actually searching it or getting it. It was just something more that I would discard and not really take into account. Maybe in other builds or future builds it might take more of a place, but that's not it. This is actually a Raid Raptor card, Strategical Landius, but it's just basically if you control a dark monster, you can special summon it, then you're locked into dark monster for the rest of the turn. It has another effect where, like, if you control if you control an Xyz monster with a dark Xyz monster's material, you can then special summon a level 4 or lower Raid Raptor from your grave, but that's not really relevant. It's just nice for the extension, but again, it's not really searchable, so I don't really play it in this build. If we move on to our Xyz monsters, we have Arc Rebellion Xyz Dragon. It is an incredible card. It's your sort of win condition or your OTK condition. So you can, its Xyz summon card can't be destroyed by card effects, and then you can detach material from it. It then can gain the attack of all of the monsters on field, and if it has a Dark Xyz monster as material underneath it, it then can negate the effects of all the face-up monsters on the field as well till the end of the turn, but only it can declare an attack. But basically, you can just use this as your OTK. Like, we've gotten it up to like stupid attack before. I think it's like I've got it to like 14,000 or something. So you definitely want to play this. And Raider's Knight is really cool utility. Again, it's treated as a Raid Raptor and a Phantom Knights card, and you can detach material from it, and then you can either rank up by 1 or down by 1 from its level into a PK or a Raid Raptor Xyz monster. This is typically how you're going to get into your Arc Rebellion. But it also has niche uses for where you may want to like rank down into your Break Sword. So you definitely want to play him. This is the new rank up magic, the Phantom Knights rank up magical magic force, and it's definitely, I play it as well because it's just, well, an easy access to the Dark Requiem Xyz Dragon, which is we'll get to in the profile as well. But it's just a much more practical Xyz card, because the former rank up you had to have no materials and then you had to sort of like wait until that to happen. This, all you need to do is banish dark monsters, as many dark monsters as you want, and then you can rank up by the number. So in this case, you could say if you banished one dark monster, you could rank up the Raider's Knight into Arc Rebellion, or you could rank up, in this case, the Dark Rebellion in the deck to Dark Requiem. It's a really useful card, and it has a bit more restrictions in terms of you can only special summon Xyz monsters from your deck for the rest of the turn, but realistically that's not much of an issue. This is typically how you end the combo with. So this is definitely played. And then the last two cards are the Phantom Knight's Claw and Raider's Unbreakable Mind. So the Phantom Knight's Claw, Raider Raptor's Phantom Knight Claw, is just a counter trap. When a monster effect is activated, you can detach material from a Dark Seas monster, and if you do, negate the activation. If you do, destroy that card. And then if it was like detached from I think it was a Phantom Knight monster. Let's see. The detached material was a Phantom Knight Raider Raptor Xyz Dragon card. One Raid Raptor monster you control gains attack equal to destroy monster's original attack. It's okay. It's cool that it's a counter trap, but what you find with the deck is that you can already pump out quite a bit of monster negation. So I feel it was a bit irrelevant. And if you really wouldn't, while it is searchable, you really want to actually search this. You'd be searching your Fog Blade, or you'd be searching the Knight's Force, or like Wings, or something different. And Raider's Unbreakable Mind, which is not searchable, is always it is treated as a Phantom Knight's Raid Raptors card. If you exceed someone using a Dark Exceeds monster's material, you can target one card and field destroy it. And if this face-up card in spell trap was destroyed by a card effect, you can set one rank up magic directly from your deck or graveyard. Again, it's interesting, but again, you don't really want to use it. It's a bit too situational. You do exceed it up into like using dark monsters as material, but you'd rather again just search something else with it. But so basically, out of the new support, I currently play these 4 cards. And
that's not true.
Do it.
Terry does play the rank up magic.
Oh God, yes. Yes. This is important. Sorry, I play these 5. You can still try out the other things if you're going for either a more casual build or personally, again, just try it out and see how you feel. But we'll get into our deck profile now, and I'll show you the rest of the deck. Right, so we'll get into the deck profile. We'll start off with the Phantom Knight monsters, the triple Torn Scale, the triple Silent Boots, the double Ancient Cloak, the double Ragged Gloves, and the 1 Stained Greaves. So I've already been over these 2, and obviously you play 3 of this because it's one of your starters. And we only play one of this as it's an additional extender rather than a superior extender. So
yeah, it's situational. Yeah. If you need that situation, you can
search it.
Yeah.
We play triple Silent Boots. Silent Boots is a good superior extender because all you need to do is control a Phantom Knight monster, and you can special summon it from your hand. And then its other effect is you can banish from your graveyard to add a Phantom Knight Speller Trap from your deck to your hand. So he's very useful. He's just a free summon when they have any of these, as I just said, and that's why we play 3 of him. We then move on to the Phantom Knights of Ancient Cloak. Ancient Cloak has its first effect, which is if it's in attack position, you can target one dark monster on your field, switch it to defense, and then that dark monster gains 800 attack until the end of your opponent's turn, which can be very useful. Like you can boost your Rusty, you can boost certain little things to help you beat over certain monsters. And then its second effect is you can banish it to add the Phantom Knight's card from your deck to your hand. And the reason I make that distinction is that so this can't search for your Fog Blade or your rank up magic or your Wings or the Phantom Knight's sword, because it's their Phantom Knight's card, not the Phantom Knight's cards. You just need to make sure you're aware of that distinction, because some people don't notice that, and that's how you misplay, get game losses, do make legal plays.
So the things it can search are any of your other monsters, because they all save their Phantom Knights, and the Shade Brigandine.
Yeah. I play him at 2 because he's nice to get a search, but then again it doesn't do much on his own. And I know some people enjoy playing them at 3, and also the Red Gloves at 3, which we'll get on to, but at the moment I feel that 2 is fine. You can get access to them through the Torn Scales if you really need them, and I needed more room to add some more tech options in the deck. The Ragged Gloves its first effect is that if it's used as material for a Dark Seas monster, that Dark Seas monster gains 1,000 attack. It's a mandatory effect, and it can only happen once that turn, and also that effect is activated, so it's just being aware that your opponent can respond to it, like to negate it or do other things. And then its second effect is you can banish from a graveyard to send any Phantom Knight's card, Phantom Knight's card from your deck to your grave. Okay, so he's just your Foolish Burial. Again, I play him at 2 because he's useful, but you can get to him through the Torn Scales, and we've discussed why we play the Stained Greaves. So we'll move those out the way. Following on from that, we then play the package being the 3 tour guide, the 1 graph, and 1 seer. So tour guide is your other starter of the deck because it just gets you to either any of these two or itself. And this helps you make the Cherubini and into the Rusty as well. And if just for you guys who just need to know, so you summon the tour guide, you summon out the graph, you make Cherubini, graph's effect will summon out the seer, and then you can link off the seer and the Cherubini into the Rusty, and then get the Cherubini back as material as well.
But not before you use Cherubini effect to send one of your Phantom Knights.
Yes, but we'll get to that in a combos actual sequence. But this is how you'd make it. It's a very good card. It's just a good starter. Between this and Torn, if you open one of them, you'll be making plays. We'll sort of move on to the sort of extenders of our deck. So we have the triple Kagamucha Knight. Just if you normal summon a level 3 monster, you can special summon from your hand. It's just, again, it's a pretty good superior extender just because we play a lot of level 3s. It's a dark, which would be relevant in some cases, and you can use it to chain block, like say your tour guide, which has been very useful in certain situations. And then for a package I don't think I've seen anyone play, I play a small rocket package of one rocket tracer, 1 rocket recharger, and 1 auto rocket along with the quick launches, which we'll get to. So this is a really cool engine because it gives you, with quick launch being essentially like E-Tel, it gives you access to a level 3, which is very useful in the deck to help you make Cherubini or the Break Sword, and it gives you access to a level 4s for your rank 4 plays. But also, if you open quick launch this gives you access to the Savage that we're playing in the extra deck, which is a very useful negation you can do. Just to help prevent things like Nibiru and other things like that, because the deck can struggle against certain interruptions. There's even, and again, it even has small niche interactions. For example, Tracer could pop your Break Sword to summon out one of these guys and trigger Break Sword's effect to special summon 2 level PKs from your grave. And Recharger is effect of when a dark monster that was summoned from the extra deck is destroyed, sending it from your hand or field to the graveyard to target that monster, especially when another dark monster has come up for me. I feel it just adds nice utility to the deck. And then just for the last monsters you play, just hand traps being 2 Ash and 2 Ogre. Ash is very versatile, and I feel Ogre just removing threats can be very useful. I just played 2 of each just because it just felt right. I have a thing with 2 ofs. You can find me in the chat later, it's fine. So that's it for our monsters. For our spells, the rank up magic, Rhoda, Foolish, and Boot Sector as our 1-ofs. Rhoda and Foolish are just to get you access to your Phantom Knight package, or if you want to get to chain block something, you can use the say chain block the tour guide. You can use Rhoda to get the Kagamucha Knight. The Boot Sector is just here for part of the rocket combo to get to the Savage Dragon. For 2 of spells, we play 2 talents and 2 forbidden droplets. They're just part of the format, really. You need to. Talents are just for if you get hand trapped or just helping you steal games that realistically you shouldn't. The most common application I found of this card was bait your opponent's Dragoon, then take it, and then you win the game from there. But also looking at your opponent's hand and or drawing 2 can be very useful. And droplets in this deck is really good because you want to get a lot of your cards into their graveyard, and just negating your opponent's board while doing so is pretty good. I know these cards are pretty expensive, so we might go through other options you can play in the deck near the end of the video. And for the last spell in the deck, we just play triple quick launch, just as it's an extender and part of the combo. Then moving on to our traps, which we play 6. We play the triple Phantom Knight's Fogblade, the 1 wing, the 1 sword, and the 1 shade Brigandine. Fogblade is your monster negation, and it also prevents your opponent's monsters from attacking, but also prevents them from being attacked, so just make sure you're aware of that. And wings, it just gives a monster 500 attack, and the first time it'd be destroyed, it won't be destroyed. Sword gives a monster 800 attack when it's targeted, and if that monster would be destroyed, you can send this to the graveyard instead. And Shade is just special summons itself as just a normal monster, and if you have no traps in your grave when it's set, you can activate it that turn. So Shade is just there as a nice extender, possibly for your rank 4 plays, or just it's very useful as a one of. These two are weird. So some people either choose to not play them completely or choose one or the other. I prefer having both because, well, apart from their effects coming up from terms of destruction, these 5 act as extenders as well, because if they're in the graveyard, they each have the effect of where you can banish it to target a Phantom Knight monster in your graveyard, special summon it, but then banish it leaves the field. I feel maxing out on Fogblade because it's like the most impactful, and one of these is just useful, so it helps with your grind game. It just helps keep you, in the game. For say, you can bring back your Rusty, you can bring back a Break Sword while you have Rusty on board to pop a card. I feel like you should play at least one of each of these just to maximize the chance of seeing them as well. And that's it for the main deck at 43 cards. Moving on to our extra deck, the one synchro is just the Savage Dragon. As you said, it's just there to help against negations, mainly for Nibiru. And with the combo, if you draw Quick Launch and do it in your standby phase, you can also do it under 4 summons. Oh, so under 5 summons for Nibiru, sorry. For the Xyz monsters, we play the 2 Leviair. It's a really good card. This is just how it helps you in your grind game. Just get back your resources. You can just to get back your banished PKs. I have been tempted to cut it to 1 for like something like an Evil Swarm Nightmare, which you can summon just for added utility. But honestly, I'm still a bit unsure about that. And then the other thing to make note of is that the Leviair can special summon level 4 lowest from your opponent's banished as well, which could come up in certain matches. We play the 2 Break Sword. It's a really good card. You can, once per turn, detach material, target 1 card you control, 1 card your opponent controls, destroy them both. And then if this exceeds summon card is destroyed, you can special summon 2 Phantom Knight monsters from your graveyard and increase your level by 1. It's just really useful. You play sort of 2 for 1 for the combo and 1 for the utility. I wouldn't play any less than 2, to be honest. It just is a very useful card. And then we showed you the Raider's Knight, what it does, and then for the other package we play the Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon and the Dark Requiem Xyz Dragon. Dark Rebellion's effect is, well, you detach your materials, target a face of monster your opponent controls, half its current attack, and if it does, this card gains that attack. So it's okay effect, but you're never really going to use it. It's just there to be ranked up into the Dark Requiem. And Dark Requiem with Dark Rebellion as Xyz material is a very good card. So its first effect is you can target 1 monster your opponent controls, detach material. You can make that monster's attack 0, and if you do, it gains that original attack for that monster. And then the second effect, which is the main one, is if when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can detach a material, negate the activation if you do destroy it, and then you can special summon a Xyz monster from your graveyard. The key thing about that effect is that it's not once per turn, so it's part of the ending board you want to sort of have, where you'll have 3 monster negations with Requiem, and it just is really good. I'm really happy we got the new support as well, because it made making Requiem so much easier. It's a really good card. And the last Xyz is the Dark Rebellion, which we've been over. And then for our links, we play the 1 Striker Dragon for the combo. We then play for our link 2s, we have the Cherubini and the IP. Cherubini is essential to help making your Rusty. That's why it's just there for all your combos. It just requires 2 level 3s. It's just very useful. And IP is just here as just, again, another kind of flex spot, but it's useful for summoning other things in the extra deck, which we'll get on to. Then for our link 3s, we have the Phantom Knights of Rusty Bardyish and the Nightmare Unicorn. Unicorn's here for just the utility of spinning something back, and Rusty is here because, well, he's part of the deck. He just is such a good advantage generator by sending a Phantom Knight monster to the grave to set a Phantom Knight spell or trap, as well as the fact to just destroy a card if a Dark Xyz monster is special summoned to its zone. I really wish we could play more than 1 of it. I also really hope they don't ban him again, because that would make us very sad as Phantom Knight players. But we are glad to have him back, and you definitely will have to always play him in the deck while you can. And the last Link monster I play is the Unchained Abomination. I feel I've gone with this because this is sort of like another flex spot in the deck. I've picked this because you can on your opponent's turn have this on the board as well with Rusty, and that can lead to you having pretty much 2 pops, one from the Rusty, one from this, destroying something during the end phase. And if they try to kill, say, your Rusty or your Requiem by battle, you're still getting a trade-off with that because you can then destroy another card because they destroy something by battle. I just found it really useful. You can check it out if you'd like for other options that we'll get into, but that's the last card of the extra deck. So thanks for that, guys. The last part of this video will just be us going through just sort of the different kind of options, engines, techs you can play the deck, because there's so many things that I've wanted to play, as Brad may know from from just general experience with me. We'll just try to get those for you. So a lot of the things we're going to talk about are probably just sort of like for general like level 3, rank 3 support. So one engine we first considered, it was like a sort of Cyburst engine, being things like the Salamangreat, Gazelle, Spinny, Sea Archiver, and possibly like definitely the Mining, possibly the Circle. I mean, for discard, it just gets you Gazelle, which will send the Spinny, and that's an easy Cherubini, easy rank 3. And the Sea Archiver, it's just if a monster special summon to a exotic special summon it, which is fairly easy in the deck. So it's something you can consider. It's also an easier budget option to fill out the deck if you wanted to. So that's definitely an option. I chose not to play it because of the format. That's why we sort of played the things such as like the Droplets and Talents, just because I feel they're much more useful in terms of like, you know, preventing disruption or dealing with your opponent. You then have things like the E-Telly, which is typically going to summon the Wielder and the Tracker. There's loads of other psychic targets you could possibly pick from. There's even a weird idea I wanted to try where you can use the Shaddoll, is it Wendy? Because it's a level 3 psychic, and then you can also play something like the Dragoon package for Magicalized Fusion to send, if you use it, then you can summon a Winda, which could be kind of cool. But these are pretty cool. Like Wielder and Tracker, basically, if you control level 3, you can just special summon them. That's very, very useful as just being superior extenders. And the E-Telly can tutor any of these out. It can also tutor like the Ghost Dog who you're playing. The only reason I don't play it at the moment is just because E-Telly is currently at 1, and it's still useful, but then I realized I can play Quick Launch at 3, and I'd rather play 3 E-Tellys than 1 in that situation.
But you could be playing 4.
I could be playing 4, yes, but like it's just trying to squeeze as much as possible into the deck. If the format changes, I feel you can definitely have a lot more room to have fun with it, but at the moment we have to try to play as consistently as possible. One of my favorite ones being the Speedroid engine, of just being the Terratop and Takatomborg. It's just a free Cherubini, a free rank 3. And what I used this for as well, while we're at it, was a way to help play against Nibiru, because you just get a free summon of these 2, and then you can overlay them into the Bamboozling Gossip Shadow, which could just help if opponent activates a monster effect, detach 2 materials, and that effect becomes you both draw a card. So that's helping you play around Nibiru as well. Again, I was playing this for a while, but then it was just a thing of if I saw the Takatombo for the Terratop, it was then awkward. I'd have to like make the Levier to make it worth it and things like that. It's a good engine, but again, we're just trying to go for consistency. There is the Galaxy Worm. It's just when it's normal summoned, you control no other monsters, you can special summon a level 3 or lower Galaxy monster from your deck, and it's affection negated. So you just play 3 of these, you normal summon it, you get another copy of itself, that's your Cherubini rank 3. It's just because you have to play it while you control no monsters, again, where it's just the same principle, where you're just aiming for more consistent plays.
Yeah, why would you play that over Tour Guide?
Yeah, if Tour Guide was limited to 1, maybe you can try to think of other options. Now for my favorite engine, and look at it, it's the Performer Pal Hip Hippo and Super Hippo Carnival. So again, it's another E-Telly. You can play it 3. You can play it. That's at 3, and it just summons Performer Pal Hip Hippo from your hand, deck, or graveyard. So I'm not gonna lie, I really want to play it. I really do. It's one of my favorite things ever. It's just you can get it from anywhere. Like, well, not banished, but you can't ask for everything. And
that's why you've got the second levy.
Yeah, just in case, just in case. But like, it's really cool. It's just another e-tele thing. I used to play it a lot, and also its other effect is you can special summon tokens, but they can't be attributed. And while they're face up on the field, you can't summon from the extra deck. But if you're gonna get OTK'd, I mean, it can come in handy, and you just hope your opponent gets rid of all the tokens, or your plays might be a bit limited after that. But it's really cool. I do recommend just trying out, especially if you're having a bit more of a casual build.
Yeah, it's a very cheap engine.
Yeah. So another sort of cheap engine you can play is the Time Thief one, being the Winder, Redoer, and Retrograde. So this engine is actually pretty useful for a couple of reasons. So you get access to the Redoer, which if you can probably summon with the Shade underneath it, so you have a free way to like get rid of things that can't be targeted, such as like the Dragoon or just other random bits like that. And just Time Thief Redoer just can get you so much advantage just by a knowledge, really, just from taking cards off your opponent's deck, the top of your opponent's deck. If you get a spell, get a draw, and just banishing it to come back later can always be very useful. The Winder is here to search the Retrograde, and Winder's effect isn't too bad. You just need to detach you can detach a material from an Xyz monster, special summon it, and then search a Time Thief card. And then you'll be searching the Retrograde, and which is when you can have when a spell trap card is activated while you control a Time Thief Xyz monster. You can negate the activation if you do attach that card as material to it. This is how you'd probably. It's another engine we can use to play around things like Lightning Storm, Dark Ruler, just pretty blowout spells and traps that can ruin your day. Again, the only reason I don't play this engine, because it was something I tried out when the support first got announced, was that the Winder isn't really that searchable. And again, our entire thing with this is sort of like we're trying to play as competitively minded as possible. Therefore, you're going to kind of value consistency. But if you can afford things like the droplets or talents or even like ashes, they're not the cheapest thing, but they're available. You can always try some of these engines, and I recommend this for just that kind of protection. Another cheap one is just the Generation Force and Xyz import. Generation Force is just if you control an Xyz monster, you can add one Xyz card from your deck to your hand. There's loads of Xyz cards that you could probably look into, but Xyz import would seem the most useful as a quick play, and it is a form of disruption on your opponent's turn. So you can target one Xyz monster you control and one monster your opponent controls with an equal or lower attack than it. You can then attach that opponent's monster to it as material. So it's pretty cool because, like, typically your ending board, you're gonna have something like a Dark Requiem, which is 3k. So you can just use this, attach the Requiem, and that can also potentially give you another negate with Requiem. Or as the sort of last thing, you can bring back if you had like a PK trap in the grave, you can bring back the Break Sword and attach a material as well. So it's another thing you can try. Alright, we'll just go over some like level 3 kind of cool either extenders or just interesting cards. There's TG Warwolf. If you special summon a level 4 lower monster, you can special summon from your hand. It's a dark and a beast warrior, so it's searchable through things like tank if you want to get in the weird build like that. But it's an option. There's Galaxy Star Beast. You can just mill the top card of your deck. If it's a monster, send it to the grave, and then you can special summon this and burn your opponent for that monster's level times 200. You play a pretty heavy monster count, so it's fairly likely that you will hit a monster, and it's just useful for time and just a free body. There's Edge of Sabers, which I'm generally considering putting into the main deck just because it's another tour guide target. You can also helps you make Rusty you can special summon for your grave by putting a card back on top of your deck, so you can put back some of the cards you might brick on, say the Seer of the Graph, or if you play the Dragoon package, you can put back one of those pieces. So it's definitely something that I'm considering. You might see it in the next build. There's Gillosaurus, which is a pretty good monster. You can just special summon it pretty much from your hand. If it's special summoned this way, you have to activate this effect where your opponent can special monster from the graveyard. So ideally you want to do this at the start of your play, but it's still pretty good. And then there's Sangan, which sort of ties in a little bit. So stand against another tour guide target, and you can search for any monster with 1500 or less attack, but you can activate its effects. So I mainly use to search for like a hand trap that could be impactful in the matchup, but you can also do things like the search extenders. So you could search the Gillosaurus, and you can then special summon Gillosaurus, but you then won't be able to activate its second effect, so you don't give your opponent a plus, which is quite nice. You can search things like the Wielder or the Tracker. You can search Defrag Dragon, which is another interesting target for the deck. Or you can even search the Boots just as to be a random extender. The last two cards you can consider, at least that we thought of, were the Chaos Ruler. It's just can be part of the Rocket package. It just mills 5. It can help your plays get started, and if you play things like Ogre or other light targets, you can banish a light and a dark from the grave, especially summon this back, so it can help for your OTK pushes as well. And then there is the Appaloosa, which is just a different thing you can play instead of the Abomination, just for additional monster negation, but I personally don't play it because I just feel it's a bit redundant. Your board ends with 3 or 4 monster negations, typically if you go to the full combo, and I just feel it's just unnecessary. But if you want to play it, you can play it. So thanks, guys. We'll probably do more content in terms of PKs for you, in terms of replays, combos, or just anything else you can think of. Just let us know down below. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Shh, not a zombie channel.